Are you really surprised? Sports Talk Chicago. Here with Jon Zaghloul. In this video, we're going to be breaking down the Bears-Packers game from Sunday, explain why the Bears lost, why they might be tanking, and what it means for them moving forward. If you're new to the channel, subscribe, set up notifications so you don't miss a thing. We talk Chicago Bears daily. We have guests, former Bears players come on this program, and live streams of every Bears game every Sunday right here on YouTube. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Jon Z Sports, Facebook Jon Zaghloul. Want to watch more of this show? Head on over to sportstalkchicago.com. I want to start today with this. Were you, in fact, surprised with what happened? We did this stream on Sunday, and everybody was freaking out. The Bears were winning by 10. It was exciting, but a couple of you, including myself, knew what was probably going to happen. You can never be too safe with the lead for the Bears, especially this year when they're actively trying to lose and tank. And sure enough, when you're facing Aaron Rodgers, even a depleted Aaron Rodgers and a depleted Packers team. I was pretty upset with the end result, but I know there's going to be good that comes from it. I was very upset at first with how Justin Fields played the last 2 minutes of the game. I mean, 2 picks in 2 minutes. The Bears had 2 chances to drive downfield and score, and sure enough, it didn't work out. One of those picks was on EQ St. Brown. The other was on Fields, clearly. But I guess I'm just a little bit disappointed that the Bears blew another lead. Not trying to rant, I know, but this Bears team is actively losing, actively tanking, trying to get that second overall pick. They are really doing a good job of it, I have to say, because people like me are still a little bit frustrated. Now, everybody's looking towards the future, which I get. Going to be a very bright future. Justin Fields, besides the 2 picks, played exceptional yesterday. Had a ton of great plays, very accurate, surprisingly, and 257 passing yards. All those numbers are amazing, outstanding. We do see growth, and that's great. I think one thing he does need to work on, though, and this is not controversial, he needs to find a way to win games, or at least keep the Bears in games, inside 2 minutes in the fourth quarter. I know it was hurt against the Falcons, but he threw that pick. He threw 2 picks in 2 minutes yesterday. This is going to come with time. This is going to come with learning, and learning as a team how to win, learning as a team how to execute, understanding what a winning culture means. But it's certainly frustrating to see this amazing QB just not have the weapons and not have the experience yet to win games inside 2 minutes. On further review, the EQ St. Brown interception was on St. Brown, which I'm not surprised. Said before the season, the Bears should not have even signed him. And a lot of people said, oh, he could turn it around, but his career high for receiving yards in a season, 98. Last year with the Packers, he got that. Bears have the wrong St. Brown. They got the bum St. Brown. When everybody says he's such a good blocker and that's the reason why he should be on the field, that should be red flag number 1. And I'll tell you, Bears have a bye now. I would not be surprised if there were serious talks and considerations to cut him. The only thing that might help him stay on this team through the end of this year is that the Bears are already decimated at wide receiver. But I'll tell you, if I were Justin Fields, I would never throw to him again. Why would you? Game on the line inside 2 minutes, trying to drive downfield and really rally. A big win against the Packers, and you target St. Brown, and he can't make a cut, and the ball's picked off. Just like Ihmir Smith-Marsette, and St. Brown dropped that 4th down ball a couple of weeks ago, too. That went right through his hands and hit off of them. He's made a lot of mistakes that, for some reason, the Bears have accepted. You know, Ihmir Smith-Marsette, not saying he was great, but he made 2 mistakes, cut. St. Brown's made many more than 2. Why is his ass not on the street? Fair question. Don't know why, don't understand why, but I think at some point he will face that wrath, whether it be after this bye or just after the season anyway. He is not going to be a part of the Bears' future plans, and he shouldn't be. So that was frustrating. And I think with better weapons and better infrastructure, just a better team, this stuff won't be happening as much, but it was a tough way to end that game because the Bears were winning again. And please don't take this as hatred or hating on this team, but I think it's worth having a conversation about the fact that the Bears And a lot of these games are winning by double digits and blowing leads. And this goes back to the importance of learning how to win and implementing a winning culture, implementing a new culture, learning how to close games as a team. This is a learning experience, obviously, because the Bears have not mastered it. They can't even do it once. That's a problem. But I think it's worth having that conversation. And this is not me hating. It's just the truth. The Bears have been in so many games. They've been winning a lot of these games that they're now losing. They're up by 10. They're up by 15, 17 points, and they're blowing games, and that's not okay. I know they're tanking, and I know that they're going to have a great draft position, but I just want to say, and I want to caution everybody, including this Bears team, you got to learn how to win at some point. You brought in a new coach and a new GM to instill that culture. My hope is that come next year, these patterns from this year will be taken away. Right now, the Bears are winning lots of games, or winning during lots of games, then blowing it late. That's not a pattern or a circumstance you want to keep repeating. But it has been, and I have a feeling it will throughout the rest of this season, too. One thing I do want to say is the Bears' defense, I thought, played outstanding. Had a couple of guys hurt. Secondary was decimated, and yet they held Aaron Rodgers to 182 yards. That's a great job. That's a phenomenal job when you don't have any of your starting secondary out there, essentially. Brisker and Gordon were inactive. Kendall Bildor, whom isn't even good, was inactive. You were on your third, fourth string guys out there. They played very well. The Bears' run defense not so good, but, what are you going to do? Bears' run defense hasn't been good all year, and this is not surprising. First time the Bears faced the Packers, it was Aaron Jones who ran wild. This time it was A.J. Dillon. Jones really did nothing, but Dillon ran for 93 and a touchdown and averaged 5 yards per carry. But the Bears' defense held up their end of the bargain to me. Giving up 28 points to the Packers seems like a lot, but for the majority of the game, the Bears had them in check, really, till the fourth quarter. And the Packers scored 18 unanswered in one quarter, and that's the reason why the Bears lost. That's a defensive issue. Then the Bears scored nothing in the fourth quarter in general. Offensive issue. This Bears team knows how to play for 2 or 3 quarters every game. The Bears won the first quarter, and they won the third quarter, but lost quarters 2 and 4. That proved to be the difference, especially quarter 4. And that's the encouraging thing. So we see good things at times from this Bears team. We see them winning a couple of quarters and beating good teams, winning against good teams, winning handily against good teams. But for some reason, that fourth quarter always comes back to bite them. Of course, they're rebuilding, and they're a young team, and they're not expected to win, but it is frustrating. It is tough to watch at times. You want them to learn how to win games, how to execute game plans late in games. And unfortunately, that's one thing. If there's one thing the Bears have not grown with or have not improved upon all year, it's learning how to close games in the fourth quarter. All year long, it's been a problem, and they're going to have to really shore that up come next year if they want to be a wild card team or be a playoff team. Bears' run game was effective. David Montgomery, 61 yards. Justin Fields, 71 of the touchdown. And Montgomery, a touchdown himself. Even Evans adding 21 of his own. Bears' run game's always been there. Bears have the number 1 rushing offense in football, and it continues to hold up, which is impressive. A credit there to Luke Getsy. I mean, Getsy may not be perfect, and that play calling in the fourth quarter was suspicious at best, but statistically speaking, the Bears have the best run game in the NFL. And they're one of the worst teams in the NFL, so you have to give them credit where it's due and give Getsy credits on that front. The Bears' run game looked great, but again, we go back to the wide receiving, although Cole Kmet and EQ St. Brown and even N'Keal Harry showing up and making a big catch. Statistically, they had good games, but I really think EQ St. Brown needs to go. I would rather play N'Keal Harry over EQ St. Brown. I mean, it's really not a big statement to make. They both suck, but N'Keal Harry made a great catch yesterday. Great play. Former first-round pick, trying to reinvent his career, rebuild it. He has a little bit more to play for and could probably do a little bit more physically and talent-wise compared to EQ St. Brown. I would not be opposed to the Bears cutting him, and I think after that interception in crunch time, where I think it's really a 50-50 blame of Fields and EQ St. Brown, somebody needs to go, and somebody needs to be held accountable. Fields threw that ball relatively well. EQ, it's on him to move up, make the cut, and turn around and make the play. Jair Alexander, who had the interception, said, "I knew it was coming." Well, that's a scary thing to say, and a scary thing to hear a defensive player say. I knew it was coming. So not only did the Bears' play call not work, but then on top of it, EQ St. Brown didn't do a good enough job there. He knew it was coming. So he knew. And EQ did nothing to make an adjustment or to try and cut harder and make that catch and avoid the interception. Just let it happen. And it really hurt the Bears. These are things that need to be changed, and they will over time. I think the one positive you can glean too is this roster will not be the same next year. I think a lot of players that we see today that we're talking about right now are going to be cut or released or traded in some capacity. St. Brown will not be back next year, and nor should he be. N'Keal Harry may not be back this year even after that great play. A lot of guys, like even Dennis Jones Jr., he's already on thin ice. Cole Kmet, potentially. David Montgomery, we don't know. I mean, there are tons of guys who may not be with this team. Defensively, too, Nicholas Morrow has been a disappointment. People in the secondary have not performed. The Bears are going to go out, I would hope, and spend some real money on things they need, and on top of it, draft smartly with that number 2 pick and potentially more if they trade back. Defensively, big shout-out once more to Jack Sanborn, who continues to cement himself as a real option for the Bears next year. I think he's done enough to earn a spot on next year's team, if not start. How about that? A cheap replacement for Roquan Smith. Everybody going crazy about Roquan Smith. Bears need to keep him. And yep, they find somebody who's undrafted for minimal money, and they trade Roquan, who's a team cancer, off the field. That was a great move by Ryan Poles. He's not been perfect. There have been some real stinkers. But that decision has paid many dividends for the Bears so far. No more contract headaches. No more holdouts and in-season quotes, cryptic quotes and messages. Nope, you ship him out, pay him no money, bring in an undrafted guy, next man up, and he succeeds and he thrives on this defense. Impressive, to say the least. There are always positives during some of these games, even these heartbreaking losses for the Bears, and that's good. I mean, it's a rebuilding team. Selfishly, though, I want to see more than what we saw. I guess I'm having trouble justifying giving up 17 unanswered points in the fourth quarter. 18, actually. That's where I stand. There were a lot of encouraging things. There are every week, it seems like. Justin Fields continues to build, even though inside 2 minutes he had the 2 picks. But other than those last 2 minutes, he was great. Very good game. Really the highest rated quarterback even in PFF this week. And they're not always perfect either, but good rating. Fields played well, statistically, despite the 2 picks. Fields looked better. Fields played more comfortable, made a couple of deep passes, had a big run for a touchdown. That was encouraging. There were good things we saw, and I think really at this point, Fields is the guy. He will be the guy next year for the Bears and probably moving forward. And that's great. That was the whole point of this season. So the Bears have already completed their objective on the year. Is Justin Fields our starting quarterback? A definite hell yes. That's great. We move on. But if we want to dig further, then, it's a rebuild year. We excuse everything. We can start talking about the real issues on this team. Giving up 18 unanswered in the fourth quarter to the Packers when you were dominating, not good. And, the tanking argument's fine. If that's really what they're trying to do, that's okay. But I would just say, and I would caution the Bears and everybody, better hope these patterns don't stay with them come next year. One more thing, too. Cairo Santos probably needs competition. He gave up 4 points. Or I should say he left 4 points on the board. I've not been happy with recent performances from him. Whether it be him playing into the tanking or just him being ineffective either way, I think his performance has warranted the Bears to bring in some sort of competition this offseason, whether it be an undrafted guy, drafted guy, or a veteran kicker. Bring somebody in and make them compete. Because I was not happy with how he did yesterday either. And had he made a field goal and the extra point, maybe the Bears would have won that game. Maybe the game could have went completely different. The ineffectiveness on his part is also a cause for concern. So yes, I'm happy the Bears have found out who Justin Fields is. That was the objective of the entire season. But I will say, giving up 18 unanswered, not cool. They need to learn how to win games as a team, how to close games as a team, and how to execute. That'll come with time. That'll come with a better roster and better players. But remember, it still falls on Matt Eberflus, still falls on this coaching staff to implement those policies for next year. The rest of this season's probably going to be a complete barn burner. I mean, I don't expect much from this Bears team. I don't know if they're going to win one more game. They'll be in games, and it might be fun to watch with Justin Fields, but I don't know if they're going to win one more game, which is sad. They're doing it for the tank. That's commendable, at least for now. We'll see how it works out. But I would just caution everybody, you're rooting for a tank, and that's fine, but I would just say, come next year, when the Bears are supposed to be good, don't be mad if then they can't close games or execute inside 2 minutes. Now, part of this season is developing Justin Fields. Well, developing him would also mean seeing some 2-minute warning, 2-minute drill traits get better. And if there's one thing I could criticize about his game, it's that his 2-minute game is weak. The Bears' 2-minute game is weak, not just his. Everybody on this team, their 2-minute game is weak and it needs improvement. I would hope by next year we see something better. I would also hope, obviously, defensively, the Bears could stop blowing leads in the fourth quarter mainly. The Bears are a great first-half team, even a great three-quarter team. But that fourth quarter, every single time, seems to really hurt them. These are things that just need to be considered and need to be applied to our mindset when we evaluate this Bears team. There's a lot to like. We know Justin Fields is QB1. We know Justin Fields is a productive quarterback who's broken records, will continue to break records, and will continue to be the Bears' starting guy moving forward. That's great. There are other things on this team that need correcting. And by the way, it's everywhere, not just defense, not just no players, not just tanking. There are real problems that need to be corrected. I would hope the Bears implement changes for next year. They need to learn how to perform inside 2 minutes, though. I mean, that's key. Not for now, but for week 1 next season. We cannot be seeing 18 unanswered points given up in the fourth quarter, then everybody's saying, well, it's tanking again. And who cares? Well, you can't say who cares to 18 points given up unanswered in the fourth quarter when you were dominating for the first 3. How do you make that change? What changes in your philosophy after 3 quarters of winning to then blowing a whole game in the fourth quarter giving up 18 points? That's the part that puzzles me. And that's the part that scares me a bit. We need to see better, and hopefully we will next year. But for right now, it's something to keep in mind. See, everybody's telling you everything's fine, and probably is. Who knows? But is this record fine? Are these performances in the fourth quarter fine? I don't think so. Hey, this is not a team going 12-5 and winning the division, and they're going to be a Super Bowl team. This is not the Chiefs, where you can actually say everything's fine. Eagles, everything's fine. You lose a game here and there. I mean, you're not going to be perfect. We move on. The Bears, though, they're at the bottom of the league. Everything's not fine. And while we may know what improvements need to be made, and that's great, will the Bears implement them, and will they make serious changes? That's what we have to wait and see. That's what we have to anticipate and hope for. But I just caution everybody, when you say everything's fine, or when you say, well, even Justin Fields is perfect. Nobody's perfect on this team, including the coaches, including Justin Fields, and there are serious issues that everybody, including Fields, needs to work on. Everybody across the board, somebody has to be working on something. You could pinpoint every player and say, he's weak at this, he's weak at that. That's my parting message. Do not say everything's fine and everything's perfect when this team's 3-10. when they just gave up 18 unanswered to the Packers in the fourth quarter in a game that the Bears should have won. That's the thing. I'm okay with saying there's improvement, there's progress, and this team will be much different next year. But as of right now, claiming that everything's perfect and the Bears are fine and everything's great, that's not fully true. Please be cautious, and please think for yourself. And please understand that this is a results-based league, that although everybody has low expectations for this team, including myself, there are things that need to be worked on, things that need to be improved upon. That's the big thing and the big lesson that I'll take away from this game and for the rest of this season for this Bears team. They need to improve. They need to get better. If we don't see progress, that's a time for real concern and potential real issues for them moving forward. Thanks for watching today's show here on YouTube. Really appreciate the time. Remember, you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Jon Z Sports, Facebook, Jon Zaghloul. Want to watch more of this show? Head on over to sportstalkchicago.com. So long, everyone.